Oh, they didn't ban.
Wait, just take Yuumi.
Yeah, first pick Yuumi.
It's right there.
Xayah Rakan is the answer.
Oh, they should go.
Has to be the answer, no?
What a curveball.
I think they should
What's going on?
first pick Rakan here. No, Corki.
If it's
no?
G2 Fnatic, for sure.
If you're already confused, guess what they're doing to OG? Their whole plan is up in flames because they didn't ban it.
I mean, Rakan is correct.
Oh.
Okay, no, this is this is
Okay.
wait.
And then they get the Yuumi.
The Xayah Rakan prior is
Do
understandable.
they pick
for
Yuumi Garen though?
But why Xayah over Rakan?
Oh, Corki.
Ooh, so
It's looking
is
like a
this-
good game for Splyce.
So has the ball been dropped now by OG? What do you think of it?
I think it completely depends if our boys in yellow can play Garen. If they can play Garen, all of a sudden their composition looks like a scalar. We have a Corki Yuumi composition. Can Mithy carry on the Xayah Rakan combination? That's the question.
Well, you gave him a lot of props. Do you think the Xayah Rakan is the bot duo to do it with?
I know what's happening
Sure.
here.
Okay.
I know what's happening.
Yes.
He wants to play Z. I think Nuke is planning the Z, no?
Maybe. Maybe
Oh.
against Garen, Yuumi, Corki though, I don't know.
Yeah.
We have an Exhaust,
I don't think
they
you're ever
heal.
killing that Garen if you go Zed here.
Could be very rough.
Because Nuke didn't pick third, so he has the confidence to go really
They're never
deep
gonna
in the
ban
champion
that.
pool.
Yeah.
So now there's gonna be target bans.
Silas second wave ban should be good here for Splyce.
Yeah.
So Origen knew they were giving over the Garen Yuumi, by the way, because
Ban.
obviously
Bane
otherwise
ban.
they would have
That's not
possibly broken it up. And Gilius is right, and that Splyce is going to continue banning the AD carries. This is a dicey pick and ban.
Vane
Yeah.
ban.
They
Okay,
pick
are they
Xayah
expecting
Rakan.
funnel? Xayah Rakan funnel?
I don't
Is
know
that
what's
up?
going on. Vane
Otherwise,
mid?
Vane ban doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
Mr.
Vane
Duke.
top?
They have Xayah Rakan. But
I mean, so Alphari is like,
He
no
played
meme,
it once
Alphari
in
has played the top
Yeah.
lane, the Vayne a couple times, into like the Mordekaiser, I believe, but I think that is strange unless you're planning on picking like some super vulnerable top laner here to some range champion like a Vayne.
But they should fifth pick top for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the
Blind pick
second
Vayne.
ban
This is
again.
fourth pick jungle.
No way.
This looks like a fourth pick Gnar again. Should be decent. And then
Unless they think it could be the mid lane Vayne for Nukeduck.
Rise ban.
can
Okay.
you explain me the Rise ban, Yamato?
Make some sense of this, Yamato.
I think Rise is an okay pick into Corki, but it's not something that Nukeduck has shown prior on. Maybe they want to put Nukeduck on Silas. They want to make sure they play Silas no matter what. They didn't think it was that good, and this is what
His ultis are great this game, no, Yamato? Yuumi, Garen ult's pretty nice on that.
If we get the fourth pick Gnar as well, I think he has some good ultimates to work with here. It's definitely better than the previous game.
Yeah, we talk about for Yuumi though, it's not just about Yuumi, it's about kind of the vessel she can latch onto. So what would you like to see in the Splyce composition, Endo?
I think generally, like, Aatrox got banned away, which was
Yeah.
going to be my initial thought is Aatrox plus Yuumi is absolutely insane. But any sort of, like, initiation jungler, I think, can also be good. Something like a Skarner can always be sped up, and with that extra range that you can provide, can lock people down. But the Jarvan 2, so much range on that champion. EQ forward into the ultimate, Yuumi ult down on top of that as
Jarvan
well.
Rumble, that's the plan, huh?
Okay.
Jarvan Rumble.
Yeah, maybe against Xayah, that's hard.
Yeah.
She doesn't have an escape, she could just ult.
Last pick Rumble, and now...
You said it was going to be the Zed. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's the Yasuo.
Maybe it is, but
Actually,
we don't
it
talk
is.
about hovers.
Oh!
It's
It's Gragas Yasuo. It's actually really
Okay,
good.
That's actually... That's spicy. And Kennen. Yeah, that team fight is insane.
Wait. This might be a scenario where they go Yasuo Gragas bot and then they go Xayah Rakan funnel.
You think they're going to funnel Zanzarah, a player they played with for maybe 2 days?
No, meaning Patrik is going to play the Xayah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Patrik plays the Xayah, Nukeduck plays the Yasuo, but this is very cocktail.
We
But
talked
the
so
last
much
pick
about
Rumble, right?
scaling and team fights and whatnot, so how good is then this Origen comp? This team fight's great, but you do have to get to a point where you can utilize it, right?
Honestly, I am voting for Origen composition here. I think
yes.
it's easier to execute Xayah Rakan and the Gragas combo. I think Corki, we saw many times Humanoid the previous game actually got caught, but here, the wind wall, if Nukeduck plays good, he can actually show off with the
So
bigger
all
carry here.
in on the full team fight composition for Origen. How can Splyce throw a wrench in that?
Splyce comp is a very tanky composition, which can kite and survive really well. It's really hard to kill them. So I think if OG plays the map correctly, splits them away from each other, they have a shot.
I have to just add, honestly, I'm talking about Nukeduck and how he has to play the
Yes.
Yasuo. It's freaking hard to play against Renekton, Garen, Jarvan. So good luck, Nukeduck. I hope for the best. You know?
It's true. I think Splyce, Xerxe needs to go top lane, dunk on this Kennen in the early game, get Vizicsacsi fed, because he's going to be sort of the bridging factor in the mid game to take it home for Splyce.
What I do love is that both teams are willing to take some risks to a certain degree if you've got Garen, Yuumi, but showing us something different in order to bring it to a silver scrapes and game 5 for Origen, or for Splyce to make it to the second round of the gauntlet. Fantastic compositions, and the teams are ready on the rift. So let's head over to our casters.
Thank you very much, Shocks. What could be the deciding game of this best of 5? We have Garen Yuumi, we have Yasuo. Got some exciting picks here, Vedius.
So it was really interesting to me, the way in which they talked about the draft. I think that they're still talking about the draft. We can hear them in our distant memories.
Yeah. I just like hearing Yamada's voice.
Yeah.
It's very calming.
It is. Very soothing. Yes, hello, Shocks. I can hear you. Do you speak to me from the beyond?
From the other side. She must have tried 1,000 times.
So, what I really like about the Splyce comp is like how die focused it is. I think it scales really well. Garen Yuumi, once they get to a certain point in the game, like, it's really strong. And you basically just, you run at enemy, and you just, that's it. I wish it was more complicated than that, but it's really not. You just run at them. And Corki scales so well that, like, I think you have a lot of, you don't need Xerxe and Vizicsacsi to be damage, because you'll have so much damage coming out from the Corki, and then the Yuumi poke as well. Like, Splyce comp, really strong. Obviously, one of the biggest weaknesses of it is that you don't really have an early game. Especially in the bot side of the map, where this Xayah Rakan can be very impactful. The issue I have is that Origen haven't showcased a single time this series that they have an ability to play through an effective early game. So I feel like the Splyce have taken the right approach. I think that their current game plan is to just wait and scale and wait to teamfight, and I think that their comp is much easier to execute in the teamfight. It's extremely tanky, as Xayah said. I think for a Yasuo, it's really hard to play against this comp. And so, yeah, we'll see how things play out. There's a lot more focus on Origen to somehow find an early game lead.
I'll see how they can do that. Zanzarah, Xayah said, has been pretty consistent throughout the course of this series. Maybe this is one of the games where he needs to be let off the leash a little bit. See the Zanzarah that we saw in EU Masters, the one that would pick on jungle. Would get some early ganks off with Sejuani. We have actually drawn a couple of lines on the top corner of the screen there. I'll just remove those for you as Mithy and Patrik. Maybe looking for something early on. We always talk about shutting down Garen Yuumi early as a key factor to mitigating how strong they can get later on.
You know, I've like never seen it, at least in Europe. I know recently in the LCK they played Garen Yuumi, and that one definitely didn't go very well at all. However, I do think that it's just so hard, man. Garen is like so tanky. It's so obnoxious. And the amount of passive health regeneration that he gets as well, on top of the healing that you get from the Yuumi. I mean, Frost recently did a great meta report on it.
She did. Should watch that. lolesports.com. Sorry, YouTube.com/lolesports if you haven't seen it before.
It's really insightful and tells you exactly how it all works. In any case, let's talk a little bit more about the junglers rather than the bot lane. We can see the Zanzarah doing a full bot side clear, same for Xerxe. Xerxe will now hit the level 3 mark as he's just secured the red buff, and now he's going to be in a position to assist the top lane. Because Vizicsacsi is playing the Renekton, he's at a range disadvantage, which means that Alphari will have a lot of poke and harassment in his toolkit to enable him to build up a decent lead in the early game. You can see that he's running the Kleptomancy as well, which really does help. Bot lane is getting pushed in, meanwhile mid is where Corki has the push over the Yasuo. And Yasuo usually struggles in these range matchups very early on. Once he gets a couple levels under his belt and some items, he's actually in a much better spot.
Xerxe does land the stun there as he was spotted out on the ward. You can see Alphari using the lightning rush to just try and escape. I do want to ask, you know, Alphari with the Kleptomancy and with the Doran's Blade start, does that imply that he's going to go down this AD route, or are we likely to see an AP Kennen?
I would want to see an AP Kennen. If he does AD, then he's making the game really easy for Splyce, because you expect them all to build Tabi. And Ninja Tabi is already very good against the likes of Yasuo and Xayah. But if you build AD Kennen, then it's just so free. So I really want him to go AP. I think.
Kobbe uses the courage there. Getting the tenacity that it grants you means that he doesn't quite get stunned up. And as you say, that healing already starting to kick in from Norskeren and from Kobbe's passive.
So you can see that Kobbe obviously added disadvantage in the early game. You'd very much expect it. Like, this is very natural, range versus melee. We talk about it a lot. But also Garen can struggle to approach the wave, given that his... it's not super easy for him. He doesn't have many abilities that help with his last hitting either. But going back to the top lane, yeah, I think it makes way more sense for Alphari to go AP. Usually you just start with the Doran's Blade because you're so auto-attack reliant. So the AD gives you a little bit more AD to... sorry.
The
Doran's Blade...
The AD does give you more AD.
It does. The Doran's Blade gives you more AD, which helps with your last hitting and with your auto-attack harassment that you have during the early laning phase. But it's very easy for him to transition into AP off the back of this. However, if he goes back and he... because normally we don't see the Gunblade builds anymore. So usually you'll see a Proto Belt, and that should be a good indication of what direction it's going early on.
Good to know. And Patrik and Mithy with the early push in the bottom lane, as you said, very much expected. You're playing a melee matchup really into double ranged or thereabouts. It's very hard for the Garen Yuumi to do too much here. Zanzarah maybe looking for a gank down towards the bottom side. He's going to put the control ward in the pit, in the bush, sorry. And we'll be spotted out by Kobbe and Norskeren, who are penned back towards their tower. 2 plates fall, and Origen have about a 400, 500 gold lead early on.
So again, the early game looks good for Origen, as you would expect. Winning matchup top, winning matchup bot. So you'd imagine already things look fine for them, right? Yep. But the thing for Splyce is it's one of those games where they don't need to get ahead early as long as they mitigate their losses. Yep. And if they find advantages, then it only sets them up better for success. And so the responsibility falls on Origen to be proactive with their lead. So the fact that they're keeping a push in bot lane is good. You want to be funneling as much gold onto your Kai'Sa as possible. Get her to those spikes as soon as you can so that you can start forcing fights earlier. And then you can force Splyce into a situation where they're not online with their comp yet. But them, right now, being in a deficit, not the end of the world and not something that they really have to stress about.
I'm sure they won't be too worried as of yet. We've had 3 games so far. All of them have gone well past the 30-minute mark, so we likely have 24 minutes at least more of action. Xerxe looking for a gank up towards the top side. Alphari uses the lightning rush, has just hit 6 though, so he has the slicing mushroom. It's a big wave pushing in. If Xerxe dives into this, it's a little bit dangerous, especially since Zanzarah's on his way. Alphari puts the slicing mushroom, gets the double stun. TP coming in here by Splyce, and Alphari's low. He's gonna fall. Now they put the Cataclysm down onto Zanzarah. It's Kobbe and Norskeren on the chase. The Zoomies trying to speed up Xerxe, but they can't chase down Zanzarah, who's got those Predator boots.
So good gank from Splyce. Remember what we said, they don't need to get ahead early, but they can by playing through the top side of the map. Renekton, Jarvan, a very strong 2 versus 2. He manages to sneak in to the lane and they find a successful kill, relieve some of the pressure that's being put down onto Vizicsacsi, and they get the flash out from Alphari as well. The problem for Splyce is that their bot lane actually TP'd up towards the top side of the map, and they're losing so much experience off the back of making this play.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if you're not getting farm, right? Because you're going to scale up later. You can compensate for that, given your scaling advantage. But the experience that you lose off the back of that is a really big deal. Delaying your levels, now currently only being level 4, and the fact that Splyce's Origen's bot lane is very close to securing that tower could hurt Splyce a lot in the long run.
As you say, the tower falling could be incredibly impactful because if Origen get 5 plates in the bot lane on their AD carry, she then gets to a very strong point, the Xayah, towards that mid game, and you can see Patrik already at 2,500 gold, where Kobbe's only at 1.9.
Now, this is one of those situations where, given that you've done so much down to the plate bot, you could have even considered swapping, but because the first Drake is mountain, and because of how easy it is to get priority, they can easily take this tower and then convert it into a bot Drake as well. TP actually coming into top lane.
See Humanoid looking for the flank there, going in with the Valkyrie Alphari, no flash, no way out. And Humanoid will get the 2nd kill of the game for Splyce.
So Origen doing, Splyce doing a good job of trying to attack Alphari. He's not getting that much support because of how much investment is going towards the bot side of the map. And Origen are immediately going to convert this into a mandate.
It looks like Alphari might be going towards the Gunblade build here on the Kennen. Origen go for the Mountain Drake, as you say, the Windwall comes out, it's Kobbe and Norskeren trying to distract them from this. Xerxe on his way in as well, has the smite. Why are they fighting it? Indeed, because the last breath comes out. Zanzarah secures his first kill of this 4th game. Humanoid coming in with the Valkyrie as well. Will force Origen away. Yeah, they lose a kill for it, but they force Origen away for the moment. Chachi doesn't have the TP. Zanzarah's still on the Drake. No smite, of course, on Splyce as they have lost their jungler, but Zanzarah's down to about 200 HP and he's forced out.
So, okay, Splyce do successfully stop the Drake from going down. However, they don't stop the tower from falling, and they also give a kill over to Origen. They didn't need to force that fight. It's so dangerous to take fights like that, especially when your whole game plan is to scale. If the Renekton was there, I get it. It would make more sense, right? Because he is very strong at this point in the game. If you can get more kills and you can get the Trinity Force onto Humanoid, then it makes more sense. But without him, it's very dangerous to take that kind of a play, especially given how squishy Xerxe is this early on. So, wasn't a massive fan of that play coming out from Splyce. I feel like they should have played a little bit safer, but they do stop the Mountain Drake from going down. And now you would imagine that the bot lane of Origen will look to move up towards either the top side or the mid lane, so they can look to still play around these neutral objectives. neutral objectives in the form of the Mountain Drake and the Rift Herald.
They're in the mid lane right now. Nukeduck's going down towards bot. Important to note, he doesn't have teleport on this Yasuo. He's running the Ignite, the combat summoner, for those fights. But it means that if he is down towards this bottom side, he can't join a fight that might begin around the Rift Herald, which has just spawned.
Still keeping an eye on this Alphari build. Seeing lifesteal always concerns me. I really don't want him to go AD, but like the fact that he's got Sork Boost suggests that, okay, if he goes for Gunblade, that's still fine. I'm fine with a Gunblade. As long as he then builds some AP afterwards, that's what I would prefer to see. Wait, Vizicsacsi actually has Merc Treads. Okay.
So I think he thinks Alphari's going for the AP build. Xerxe trading here onto Alphari. TP coming in by Patrik. Mithy has the charm, going to land it on both of them. There's the knockup as well, and with the Blaze being called back, Origen takes 2 kills in the top lane. A fight happening in mid as Humanoid went
He gets
down.
the knockup.
Side for the knockup, there we go. Kobbe's pretty tanky. He won't fall.
Yep, they're not able to find any kills there. But great punish from the side of Origen. They're able to find 2 kills on the top side of the map, and they can actually start off the Rift Herald. Remember, they just secured the mountain as well. So Origen actually doing a good job of starting to snowball this early game gold lead. They're nearly at 3,000 right now, and a lot of it's just because Splyce keep trying to force these plays. They got 2 good kills onto Alphari. They tried to make it a 3rd. They didn't respect the teleport on Patrik and the fact that Mithy was roaming up, and they end up getting punished for it. And it's about bringing it back, right? Remember that Splyce just want to scale. That's their whole game plan. And if you can find early game advantages, then fine. It's definitely worth it. But you can, this is a very hard force. You know, very close to the tower. They don't respect the TP, as we mentioned. And the Rakan was roaming up as well. And you just look at this play and you go, okay, if you get this play, how much more does it benefit you? And the honest answer is that it doesn't really. So Splyce just make the game harder for themselves when they try and force these plays. And the irony of it is, throughout this series, they've played a very slow early game where they actually haven't tried to force a lot, and it ends up working out for them in the later game fight. So I feel like they need to just return back a little bit more to how they were playing. But yeah, this gold deficit now starting to hurt them. They're losing a lot of plates to the Xayah. You can see the gold difference between the 280 carries. Mid lane, a big lead is starting to build. And even though Alphari was killed a lot because of the Kleptomancy, he's still actually been able to pick up a lot of gold himself. So Origen in a very good position right now.
Yeah, very strong. 1,200 gold lead for Patrik over Kobbe, although that comparison is a little bit difficult to make when it's a Xayah against the Garen. Of course, the Garen not the key component of the Garen Yuumi combo, but Origen continue to knock down these plates. This will be their 5 + 4 + 4. What's that? 13th. They've just taken 13 plates. This will be their 14th.
There's still 4 plates left in the mid lane, my friend.
Oh, yes. Sorry, this will be their 11th.
Yes, it will. There you go. 11 plates.
I accidentally added on another 4 for some reason.
That's all right.
Ignore that. And Splyce look down towards the bottom side. Splicing Mouse comes out. Humanoid charmed up. And it will be a kill onto Alphari. Mithy trying to flash away. Xerxe still tanking up the tower. Mithy goes golden, but Humanoid dies. Mithy will fall as well. Oh, Xerxe almost went down. Splyce do get 2 kills.
Splyce force another dive bot lane. This is going to give even more plates over to Patrik. Nukeduck is going to also siege onto this tier 2 in the top side. And yes, Splyce are finding these kills. They're really trying hard to shut down Alphari, like really trying hard. But more gold is just going into the pockets, and you can see that the gold lead only gets bigger when Splyce tried to make these plays in favor of Origen.
And Nukeduck just took a tier 2 in the top lane.
Yeah.
And Xerxe and Xerxe are trying to still get this tier 1. It just feels like the Splyce that we saw in regular season that was much more measured and controlled, and the Splyce we've seen in the first 3 games today, it hasn't arrived yet.
I mean, but also you just look at the map state, right? Like, just look at top lane. Look at where that wave is set up. Look at how they don't have prio in mid. They're, like, not in a position to commit all of their wave clear and one of their strongest members into this kind of a play. And yes, they end up getting the bot tower. This is fine, right? But, like, The reason why I'm bringing so much attention towards this is because the best case scenario for Splyce is they have extended laning phases and they slow the game down. And you could sit there and argue that, oh, well, Origen is being super proactive, but the thing is, Origen aren't. They're just taking advantage of the fact that Splyce is being proactive by constantly making trades and snowballing their early game lead even more. So now they've extended it to 3.2k, and you can see a lot of core items have now been completed. The Gunblade is finished in the top lane, the Static Shiv is finished for the Yasuo, and the Essence Reaver, along with the Executioner's Calling, is now done for Patrik. So OG is in a position where they could start looking for fights.
Yep.
You know, when the Drake spawns, oh, I mean, the Drake is spawning very, very soon, but when these neutral objectives start spawning, they can force Splyce to come to them and challenge them, and they should be able to come out on top because, again, of how weak Kobbe is and how far away he is from being relevant and strong in the game.
Totally agree with you there, Vedius, and Origen will be licking their lips looking at these neutral objectives because Splyce is showing no signs of stopping fighting. Humanoid and Xerxe coming across here, trying to get some vision for the Splyce team, and Origen have relatively good control. It's going to be played out just a little bit by Xerxe, but he's unable to get close enough to that control ward. Didn't know where Zanzarah was hiding.
Okay, so you can see that the red buff is actually just spawned. Xerxe is going to that, and they're not going to contest the red buff. I think this is the smart thing from Splyce, even though they have the Trinity Force done on Humanoid. I still do not think the Splyce is strong enough to contest this objective. They have a couple of TPs available, but the smart thing to do, disengage, give this one away, and I do believe the next Drake is actually an Infernal as well. So things only seem to be getting better for Origen in this game so far. If they can take down that mid-tier 1, that will be all the outer towers down, and they can just continue to press their lead.
Kobbe's going to face check straight into Mithy here. Zanzarah is there as well. Oh, didn't do the face check. Used the ward. But look at that control from Origen. 3 control wards, all in this blue side jungle. You can see what they're playing around. Norskeren trying to duck out and clear out one of them, but unable to do it. Meanwhile, Humanoid is pushing in the top lane. Xerxe and Vizicsacsi down towards bot, trying to keep Nukeduck at bay. That mid lane tower is very low, and Origen could look for a dive.
Okay, Alphari is building Zhonya's. We can't confirm he's going AP. He's going AP. Makes me happier. Glad he's going for the AP. And OG will finally take down that mid-tier 1. It was bound to fall, but I liked how they were playing between the 2 lanes, forcing Xerxe to come and answer. He does help the bot, which then relieves pressure mid, which allows OG to secure that one. So, again, this is really important for OG. They need to keep the pressure up. They need to keep the pace of the game going like this, because, of course, they will get to a point where this Garen Yuumi comes online, and Humanoid completes like his second, his third item, with which Splyce will be very strong. And at that point, Vizicsacsi and Xerxe should be just big, tanky meat shields that just sit on the front line and absorb all this pressure. And then Splyce can just keep diving and diving and diving and diving. And it gets really hard for Origen, which is why having a gold lead is very, very important for them. And it's a good thing that OG have been able to find it. So next big objective for them, obviously we're at 17.5 minutes in. So trying to say things like Baron and Dragon is a lot harder. It's
yeah, Baron's really hard at 17.5.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I'm saying. It's really difficult to do.
Very hard.
Some may say impossible, but
nothing is impossible.
Nothing is impossible, exactly. Fun fact, in this state of play, again, Nukeduck could actually be setting up a freeze if he wants to. It's a little harder because he is running Static Shiv, but because there are no objectives to play around and Splyce's comp really sucks at sieging, they could be doing that.
Yeah. He's not.
He's not going to do that. He's going to ping-pong the wave once again. Personally, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, but I'm just saying that is an option available to Origen. It is something that they could do if they wanted to. They don't want to.
Second item is now complete on Nukeduck. He's gone for the Xerxe Gauge. We'll build Infinity Edge next, you have to expect on the Yasuo. Gives you that extra crit that is so impactful on the Samurai. And Humanoid continuing to try and push in. Alphari looked like he was going to go for the fight there. Does get the stun lock. Zanzarah misses the body slam flash. Lands the cast though. TP coming here by Splyce, so they look for the fight. Alphari down to half HP. Double TP from Splyce. It's actually only 1, but for some reason looked like 2 to me.
It did look like 2. Wait, Vizicsacsi did
Vizicsacsi's must have been cancelled.
It must have been cancelled,
Looks like Nukeduck went in, and now the fight continues in the top lane. Mithy dodging around. Xerxe in with the cataclysm. He Q's out, but he still gets stunned up. See Norskeren unwilling to jump onto Xerxe with the zoomies. Now pops onto him. Zanzarah still on the chase. The slow comes out, but it's not going to be enough And Splyce just lose 1 in the top lane.
Origen can look for the mid-tier 2 now, though Vizicsacsi's got to do what he can to clear out this tower, or is it going to get dived?
Mithy is behind him. Oh, Chachi with the slice and dice. Mithy a little bit too predictable there. Mid lane tower looks like it's going to go down as Chachi tries to get close enough to Patrik. Still lands the stun. That's a lot of damage, and Chachi is coming up huge here for Splyce. Teleport used by Humanoid. He's going to bring Norskeren into this battle, and Origen may have overstepped. They may have overstayed. The last breath coming out is going to catch out Humanoid, but they don't have the damage to take him down. Fouling projectile doesn't quite connect. Origen lose 2 as they went for the mid lane play.
Great performance there from Vizicsacsi as he manages to hold the line and even find a kill onto Patrik. Just great awareness of how much damage output your champion has. As I was not expecting him to one-shot Patrik. Patrik still had the flash, so he probably wasn't expecting it either. But
I
he's
think
able to
Patrik
find that
may
kill.
have taken a tower shot or 2 during it, I think.
No, he didn't, because he used his ultimate as well, and
Okay,
it was Nukeduck that was actually tanking the tower. So in the replay, we'll get to see it. Humanoid just trying to put along some pressure onto the tower. He gets stunned up. Unfortunately, here Zanzarah fails his flash, but is able to get the ultimate. Off the back of this, as we can see here, the teleport does come through. Nukeduck gets the interrupt.
Cancel.
Yep. So that means that's why only 1 TP ends up coming through, and that also helps Zanzarah get out of this tricky situation. Then, of course, the Lovers duo make their roam up towards the top side of the map. They try to go for this chase, and they won't end up finding any kills. And when we get to this mid-tower dive, because this ends up flashing out here, yep. But once we get to this mid-tower dive, what we'll end up seeing is how initially yeah, we'll get to see it now. So, initially the knockup, so the initial knockup from Mithy ends up missing, and you can see Patrik here, so he's at full health. Time!
Zanzarah just about able to escape with a beautifully placed cast, but this is the Infernal Dragon. Remember how we talked about it was all coming up for Origen? Well, Splyce. And now the team with the advantage. Mithy has a flank position, has got the ultimate, has flash as well. Splyce just trying to draw Origen out. They know Zanzarah's low. Infernal Dragon down to about 4,000. Nukeduck towards the top side of the fight, pops the wind wall. Big cooldown down, but now the Infernal has been restarted by Origen. They're trying to snake it away.
Very low health Zanzarah. They do get the reset.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh, here's the charge. Mithy with the flank, and Alphari slices them up like pieces of sashimi. Beautiful play by Origen. Chachi tries to do what he can, but it's a triple. Make that 5 for Origen as they destroy Splyce.
And Origen find a perfect fight. Yes, they get the kill onto Zanzarah, but it does not matter. Mithy with a beautiful flank with Alphari following up, allow Origen to find the ace, and they should secure the Baron.
Beautiful stuff from Origen. They're looking to take us all the way to Game 5 in this regional gauntlet match. They are not done with the season yet. There goes the Baron. 22 minutes in, the fastest one of the series, I have to think. And with it, Origen have a 6,000 gold lead.
Remember, Splyce did get a 20-minute one, I think, in Game 2.
It's been a long time.
And they're going to grab the Infernal as well. Origen going to feel very strong right now as a mountain spawns next. They're in a prime position to snowball this game, and this is setting up to be one of the fastest games of the series, but we'll see how... So, let's look at the fight. Initially, Zanzarah, he tries to clear out a ward that he has no business clearing out. He buys a little bit more time, but the rest of his team is not in a position. Really clutch ultimate, just barely keeps him alive. Now, Splyce think they can stick around because, of course, they have 5 members and Zanzarah's not here. They think that they can get a collapse onto Nukeduck. That doesn't happen, but keep your eyes on what Mithy is doing in the flank. He comes around on vision, but they don't pay attention to that. They're not noticing it before it's too late. He comes in from behind, gets the 3-man charm, and then Alphari lands the ult. And we've been talking so much about how when it comes to these fights, it's really important that Splyce pick the right one. They know when they're ready. And they were getting close to that point. You can see on their itemization that they were, once they completed another item or 2, then they could have started to look to fight Origen, but they felt too confident. They felt that with Zanzarah gone, they would be able to siege. They end up getting punished, and Mithy with a beautiful flank allows Origen to secure Baron.
Pretty sure I saw Xerxe did 14 damage in that fight. Humanoid did 0. When your key carry in the form of the Corki isn't getting any damage off, you know you're pretty much done for. Origen open up the base, 24 minutes in. They kept the pace of this game very much in the fast lane. They will take down the inhibitor and then back away. Still 1 minute 40 seconds on that Baron. And they have already cracked open Splyce's defenses.
So will they look to reset, or will they look to continue siege in the top lane? Looks like they're just going to go for the reset. I mean, he does have TP, so I don't think they need to. Yeah. I like that they didn't reset yet. I don't think they need to. They still have a minute left on the Baron. I think they can at the very least secure that top tower, or at least put pressure onto it as Alphari pushes in the bot. They now have super minions making their way down mid. And with a whole minute left, I think this is the better play.
Origen agree. And that's why they're going for it.
Although they seem a little hesitant right now, because look at how Vizicsacsi just approaches the wave.
So I think they're trying to sync their waves up, right?
I mean, it could be. You're right.
The next wave coming in.
Yeah. Good point. Good point. Yeah. I agree with you.
Thank you, Vedius. You know where I learned that from? You.
Oh. Good job, me. But yeah, I think you're right. I think they know they have another wave coming in top lane as well, so it's fine if they lose this one. Cannons are getting close to spawning every wave. 25 minutes is when that starts to happen. So they're now going to be setting the siege with the cannon minion. They have the super minions in mid, and the wave is hitting bot. Vizicsacsi's actually gone bot to hold this.
Patrik wants to feather storm, but he did get caught in the final chapter. Now, here comes the damage from the side. Nukeduck on the back line. Kobbe almost down to 0 HP. He just about survives. Nukeduck did what he could, but he wasn't quite enough. Zanzarah now joining up with the rest of Origen. And it looks like actually Alphari was kept at bay by Xayah down towards that bottom lane. Patrick's pushing in, healing up, but Mithy's backed, and he doesn't have a teleport.
Okay, well the Baron buff's just about to run out. They very nearly find a couple more kills, but Origen not quite able to secure that one. I would imagine that they'll wait for the next Drake, maybe even the next Baron, before looking to end this game. Obviously, that does give Splyce a little bit of a window to potentially come back, but the Corki is very far behind. If we swap over to the gold, you can see what I would call a deficit between the two mid laners.
I think most people would.
Yep. Even though he is level 15, he's quite far behind.
3,000 gold difference.
Yep.
4,000 between the bot laners.
Yep. So again, props to Origen for successfully snowballing it, but again, like, I can't put...
Okay, I give credit to Origen, but Splyce messed up.
Yes, they really did. They tried so hard to force so many early game plays, and I was fine with them making picks onto Alphari on the top side of the map, but like the number of dives that they tried to force, and that like they just didn't need to. They just wanted to keep the game slow. They didn't want to run the risk of Origen getting ahead, which is exactly what they allowed Origen to do. So they're now getting aptly punished for it, and now they're relying on Origen to make mistakes. Because the more mistakes Origen make, the more time Splyce have to scale, and then the Garen and the Corki can come online, and that is their best avenue back into the game.
It becomes very difficult when you have a 3-item Xayah, a 3-item Yasuo staring you in the
Auto
face.
reminder as well.
Yeah, he went for a relatively early Executioner's Calling, actually, on the Xayah to try and mitigate some of the healing coming out from the Garen and the Yuumi. And it's worked out well. And of course, Renekton heals quite a lot if he gets that cold and meek off. Now this inhibits tower, the target for Origen, and no Baron buff on them. It's a minute before that comes back up. You can see Xayah and Xerxe just getting chipped away at. That's down to about half HP now. And with Dragon up in 14 seconds and Baron in 50, I think we'll see Splyce get some vision control back away after this next wave and go for those neutral objectives.
Once again, you can see, oh, they might actually just try and split up the map. The easiest play would be to just go and secure Drake.
I like easy plays. I think it's in this sort of situation where you're 2-1 down and you know your rest of your year relies on winning this game, go for the easy play. You're far enough ahead.
Yep, I agree. Alphari, we can confirm, has gone for the AP build.
We could have confirmed that a while ago, by the way.
I mean, when you have Gunblade, I always get a little suspicious.
He did also get a Seeker's... Well, you said it. When he got the Seeker's Arm,
yeah, but even then, I still don't trust for a play.
Okay.
All right, this is actually a little overextended.
The charm coming out from Mithy here. Oh, good flash away, but the chase goes in with the grand entrance, and the root will come out. Dominus popped by Vizicsacsi. He slices and dices away. Xerxe down to about half HP, and the jungler Zanzarah caught him out, and that's fine. You can burn a flash on Mithy for a flash on Xayah.
I mean, I would rather keep the flash on Mithy,
I agree.
if I'm being honest. He is basically their engage tool. But all right. Splyce gain some control in their topside jungle. They'll be able to access the Baron area.
There is a blast cone there as well, which is important if Xerxe's looking for the steal.
So a lot of control wards in Origen's inventory. Oh, here we go.
Zanzarah flashes in, shout to Humanoid. The Valkyrie comes out and he manages to get away. Healed up by the Yuumi, but now Xayah. That TP sucked.
Yes, it did. Oh,
he goes going in, he goes gold, and even uses the QS as the Cataclysm comes out. And it's not going to be enough to save Xerxe. Humanoid and Kobbe have to do what they can in a 3v5 here. Norskeren on the back of Humanoid. Alphari on the flank has the slicing maelstrom, has the flash, and Humanoid just about gets away. But that will be a very dead Garen. Origen knocking on the door of the base. It will take down their second inhibitor. It's mid.
I don't know if they can end, though. There's only 15 seconds left. Yeah, I think the smarter players go straight to the Baron, try and secure that objective. Vizicsacsi has no TP, you know this. Kobbe is not going to be alive in time to be able to challenge the Baron. So, yeah, I think this is the safer, better play. And of course, the Yasuo does Krugs when the rest of the team is clearing out vision.
We've all had that Yasuo in our solo queue games. Doesn't matter. They've got it.
They're going to get it.
It's fine.
Yep. Just saying.
Third fastest Baron in the series.
Third fastest. Wait,
I don't
really?
know if that's true. I don't know. I just made that up.
I thought stats
I'll be honest.
made you.
Bonnie did
That
not
would have been
tell me
so
that.
funny. All right, so here we see Splyce positioning, looking for a fight. But of course, a great engage from Zanzarah basically bursts that Humanoid. Now, the ulti could have immediately come through from Nukeduck, and they probably could have found that execute, but it looks like he wasn't ready for it. He doesn't use it here either. And they do end up just one-shot. Of course, you can't cancel the teleport. And then he flashes in, uses the QSS plus stopwatch to buy time for the rest of his team to show up, and they find a couple more kills.
That they do. 30 minutes in, 9,000 gold lead for Origen. They have double mountain, double infernal. They have a Baron buff for the next 2 minutes, 44 seconds. And this should be pretty much all she wrote for this game. Unless Origen make a few massive unforced errors.
I just want to...
I was actually the third fastest Baron! Connie just told me, our stats woman. Oh, thank you so much.
So
I'm here all week.
Just look at the items. Splyce is kind of strong now. They're online. Now, admittedly, of course, they are in a deficit, and that doesn't just become nullified because they've hit their power spikes, but they can feel a lot more confident about forcing fights.
They definitely do. Nukeduck uses the QSS too early. Vizicsacsi slicing and dicing in, TP in behind them here, and maybe they force a little bit too soon, Vedius. Xerxe goes golden. Chachi now trying to do what he can, but he's down as well. And I'm pretty confident in my prediction that Origen are going to win this game. Humanoid tries to get away, but Mithy chases him down. Kobbe's spinning, but he's not winning. Norskoren's going to fall as well. A clean ace for Origen. What was that you were saying, Vedius?
I just had to bring attention to it. Splyce had hit the items. They looked for a pick onto Nukeduck, but he uses his fancy footwork along with the support from Zanzarah to turn the play around. And Origen, they're going to take us to game 5.
All of the way to game 5. It seems to be a tradition in the LEC now, as Origen fight back and equalize the series at 2-2. One game decides which team goes to play Schalke tomorrow. The other team, well, their split is over.
Well, this just goes to show you can't just draft full scaling and hope for the best.
Well, you could if you didn't engage fights.
I mean, admittedly, yes, I do think that it's always a weird one to explain, right? Because it's one of those things where you're trying to tell people, hey, just don't do anything. Like, that seems counterintuitive and productive, but it's more about mitigating your losses, right? And it's about making sure that you do everything in your power to keep the gold as close as possible for as long as you can. Yeah. Because it's this idea that because of how well Splyce scale into the late game, the amount of gold that they have, you have to make sure that OG have that much more gold than that in order to stay ahead and control the game. So that's why a lot more pressure and responsibility falls on Origen. So they have to be proactive. But if you give them opportunities to be proactive, then it only works against you. And I feel like that's exactly what we saw in this game, and Origen were very good to punish.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it. I'm sure the Splyce coaching staff will be saying, hey guys, take it a bit easier. You know, the games we won, we were a little bit slower. We didn't have to play this early game. You saw game 1 where they struggled. It was Xerxe on Elise. They didn't play through the early game, and that's the reason they lost. Origen, on the other hand, will be very happy with that win, especially when you have a team bring out something like Garen Yuumi, and you're able to stop it in its tracks. We haven't seen that happen too often in the LEC. So perhaps Splyce go back to the drawing board with their draft as well.
What I do find funny is that Alphari ended the game with 9 kills.
He's a beast.
And considering he left lane 0 and 2, maybe even 0-3, the bot lane of Patrik and Mithy, where all of the gold is being funneled into, 2-1-13, 2-1-15. So really heavy support coming out from the bot side. And I mean, I didn't notice this, but Mithy actually involved in 17 of the 18 kills.
Yeah, Mithy's flanks on the Alistar and on the Rakan have been absolutely sublime. Yeah. Like we would be praising Hylissang or Mickey to the 9s if they were doing things like this. So have to give him some credit, but what a way to start our regional qualifiers as Origen and Splyce prepare for game 5. It's Silver Scrapes. We'll be right back.